Are you ready to prove that you ain't scared of no ghosts? Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed is the latest asymmetric hunting game by IllFonic, who you may know from similar asymmetric games like Friday the 13th and Evolve. In Spirits Unleashed, a group of 4 players take on and try to bust the spirit who is played by another player. During the game, you'll go on ghost hunt missions between 5 different maps with varying layouts. You'll use gadgets and teamwork to track down a ghost who is trying to haunt the building and its inhabitants. Players can combat the haunting of civilians to slow down the ghosts by speaking with them to calm them down.
Is to never let them know you exist. And by that I mean hide.
The game is now out on both last gen and current gen consoles, as well as through the Epic Store on PC. In Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed, you're a new recruit just joining the Ghostbusters when a ghost outbreak begins. You're greeted immediately by Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd, who reprise their roles as older Winston and Ray, so you're immediately greeted by an authentic Ghostbusters experience. You're able to customize your very own Ghostbuster and change their appearance, clothing, as well as upgrading and customizing some very authentic feeling and sounding proton packs, traps, and PKE meters. Various upgrades are upgraded as you play the game and level up. During your hunts, you are primarily tasked with hunting the ghost, but also, as a Ghostbuster, there are other items you can collect during your hunt, such as mold spores and mushrooms, as well as newspaper clippings which unlock more story background. There is a story to go along with the game, but I'm going to touch on that a little bit more in a bit. The variety of maps and locations is refreshing. Each level has its own distinct layout and feel. From a prison to a lodge, brewery, and a museum, the maps are large and filled with many objects for the ghosts to run around and possess. Speaking of possessions, one of the game mechanics for the ghosts to recover energy is to possess the various items in the building. Some items are more fun than others to take over, but I really do appreciate the level of detail that they put into these different items you can possess. In addition to the Ghostbusters progression, there's also a progression for the ghosts as well. With 4 different types of ghosts to unlock, there are additional skins and abilities to accompany those skins when they're unlocked. A nice touch and reason to continue grinding both sides, though I feel that there's more to grind for as a ghost. Lastly, I appreciate that this game effectively forces communication with you and your other busters, and has implemented an in-game proximity voice chat, which has led to some hilarious moments while I played this game.
Stand back, folks!
Gotta go.
I mentioned earlier that there is a story that takes place in between hunts. Now, I can appreciate the fact that the developers tried to tie in some story to keep you interested to come back. Unfortunately, it's just not very well fleshed out, has boring dialogue, and has no correlation to the missions you're doing as a buster. It was a real missed opportunity not to have quest missions or side quests during your hunts to find items or something else along those lines. While the game does have some cosmetics you can unlock, I felt that the options are severely limited. I was expecting there to be a plethora of options to choose from, and I felt pretty underwhelmed with the options. Another thing that might annoy some gamers is that there's no minimap. Early on, this is especially troublesome as you're trying to learn the maps and may find yourself getting lost. To a degree, I feel like this is actually okay and forces there to be more voice communicating and actually learning the levels, but I understand the frustration from others that they might not know where they are. I also felt that the calming down citizens minigame was rather lazy and perhaps could have been done in a better way that wasn't so boring. Also, I understand that the game is a 4v1 hunt, but it can become monotonous doing the same gameplay loop time after time. Unfortunately, like most games these days, the game is not without its glitches. I ran into a few annoying glitches, like when I was a ghost. The camera was forced to be focused on the rift that was being attacked rather than letting me look around and run away, and of course I couldn't escape and I was caught. Another glitch that I ran into a few times was when 2 players would try speaking with the same civilian, and whichever one was second ended up being stuck in slow motion. I was able to get unstuck each time by speaking with another civilian, but this really should have been tested and thought of before being released. I feel that balancing isn't quite right in the game yet either. There's a few times where after the ghost has completed a full building haunt, the ghost is given just over a minute to try and survive. During this time, some maps are a lot more open and the ghosts can get in spots where the busters cannot reach the ghost. As a ghost, you can cheese your way by flying high over the players or to areas they can't really reach. It can be especially frustrating when the ghosts can just fly around without any risk of players catching them. But you won't have to worry about that if the ghost is an AI. Like all of Illphonic's previous games, the AI or bot players and ghosts they're awful. They're bad. They don't help whatsoever when they are a Ghostbuster, and if they're a ghost, they're just incredibly easy to capture. Lastly, while the game puts you through some tutorials, new players, especially on PC, may struggle with what the key bindings are. There's no way to manually check what key binding controls what, nor can you manually bind anything to another button if you don't like it. It took me literally just pushing buttons to figure out how to ping things and how to use the push to talk. This is just such a huge oversight, and I'm not sure how this could have made it past testing. Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed is a fun game, at least for a while. The monotonous gameplay can get stale quick, and the lack of true customization is rather upsetting. This is especially true if you are playing solo or with randoms online or with AI players. Things change quite a bit when you have a group of your friends playing together. Unfortunately, I don't have any friends and I wasn't able to group up with anyone. But when I found a few players in quick matches with mics and were willing to talk, the game was an absolute blast, and all of the things I didn't like about the game, I quickly forgot about. This game is released at a $40 price point, and in my opinion, definitely does not justify this price. Perhaps if the game was at a $20 price point, I would find it more acceptable, but the game should have gone with a free-to-play model, in my opinion, to bolster player counts for the future, and could have monetized with cosmetics. It seems to me like this may have been the original intention, but that may have been scrapped. For this Papa Plays review, I am giving Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed a 7 out of 10, with the recommendation to wait for a sale. While the hilarity and fun moments can definitely occur, they may be too few and far between, especially for gamers queuing up with random players. Now, if you liked this review or disagreed with anything I've said in this review, please let me know in the comments. Or if you'd like to see other games reviewed, also just let me know in the comments. If you want to see more content like this, please like, subscribe, and ring-ding that notification bell. And until next time, I'm Papa Post. I'll see you later. Goodbye.